Good afternoon, friends. Darlene and I, after living together for about a year, we decided to get married. So we went down to the courthouse, and here's the date. Darlene was kind of an artist, a potter. So she made this little clay tile and put our anniversary date on there. It says Linda Darlene Clifton and Luther Yates Keith III, March 24, 1980. That's when we were married. Went into the justice of the peace. Maybe we had a few misgivings, but we'd been living together and thought we might as well make it legal. I think we had some commitment based on what I don't know. There's no trust factor in a relationship when God's not there. It's just missing so many things. So we went to the justice of the peace. We took the vows. I gave it lip service. Really didn't even know what I was saying. Until death do you part. I didn't think the relationship was going to be that long term, for richer, for poorer, and all of these vows where you're dedicating yourself to your spouse, to my wife, to this woman, and I don't think I really meant it. I said it, the justice of the peace pronounced this man and wife, but it didn't come from my heart. It was just coming from my lips. I was so miserable. I thought maybe a second marriage might help. But I think it made a bad thing worse. In Jeremiah 9 verse 2, Jeremiah, he is longing for a place in the wilderness. He wants a place for wayfaring men that he can escape his people. Jeremiah had a lot of problems. He was persecuted, he was falsely accused, he was put into jail, and he just wanted to find some peace, stability, permanence, and that's what I wanted too. But Jeremiah had something that I didn't have. He had gotten an experience with God. My problem, if I had run to the wilderness, when you run away from you take you with you. And Jeremiah didn't have that problem. So married life. We went home from the justice of the peace. Something was missing. I couldn't really put my finger on it, but something was missing. I had the things that would make, I thought, somebody happy. We had plenty of money. We had a nice place to live, had motorcycles, had good health at that point. We were destroying our health, but it didn't show yet. We had all of these things. But even though you may have it all as the world sees it, without God, there's no relationship. John 1:4, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. Without Christ, there's no life. You can go through the motions, you can have two bodies, but if the hearts aren't bound up, what do you really have? What do you have? There's no life in the relationship. In Revelation 3:1, it's talking about the church of Sardis. Thou hast a name that thou livest, but thou art dead. It was like the zombie church. Went through the motions. They appeared to be living, but it was like a robot or a laptop computer. It just didn't have a heart. And God changes the heart. When you come into the church, you come into a relationship with Christ. It says in Romans 6:4, you rise up out of baptism, the watery grave, you rise up to walk in newness of life. That's what we needed. We needed new hearts. Didn't know that though. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. We had a lady once that came to our program. I remember she said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm rock bottomed out. And that's how I felt. But I didn't know what to do. My life in the tavern, Darlene and I would go in the evenings often to this tavern, and we would eat these steak burgers and drink and eat these big old French fries, steak fries, drink beer, and then the next morning have a hangover. And then do the same thing the next night. It was like a rat race. They say the rat race is when the rat is going through the maze. He smells the cheese but doesn't see it, but he's banging his head trying to find his way to the cheese. And he keeps banging and pushing and hoping to one day find something. I guess that's what I was doing. I was running in the rat race hoping to find something. Even though I was seeking, I was not finding. I didn't understand the principle that all improvement requires change. Friends, if something doesn't change, it's not going to get any better. Now, people, of course, don't want to change. 14:12 of Proverbs, there's a way that seemeth right to a man, the end thereof is the way of death. Most of us are going toward death. And, until the Lord changes us and we start walking toward life, in Him was life, then it's just a miserable existence. Now, Isaiah 55:8, my ways aren't your ways. The Lord's way was so different from mine because, John 18:36, my kingdom is not of this world. The Lord is walking toward life. I was walking toward death. John 10:10, the thief comes but to kill, steal, and destroy, but Christ comes to give life and life more abundantly. Same as 3:3. Can two walk together unless they be agreed? You got to change direction. In other words, you got to change something if something's going to change. And I didn't know what to change, but I knew this. The only time I really felt a sense of peace and well-being was when Darlene and I were camping. Now, we'd go camping sometimes a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. We were kind of spectators out there in nature. Nature, the natural world, we weren't participants. It was more like a spectator sport. Nevertheless, we got some blessings out there just to see nature. In fact, Darlene and I were walking today. And I said, it just has this feel to it. You get a tangible sense of something real. It's good. I couldn't explain it then. I can't fully explain it now. But when I read in the Bible, Psalms 19 verse 1, the heavens declare the glory of God, I sense that there's a message out there. And as you look at the sky and you see this infinite expanse, you think the person that made that, the God that made that is it's beyond description. Now, I did not understand that the law of the mind, one of the laws of the mind, is that it is shaped by its environment. It shapes the way we think. And nature is real. It's meaningful. The tavern, it wasn't real. It wasn't meaningful. There was no rock solid, foundation to be built drinking beer in the tavern. But in nature, even Darlene, our relationship seemed to be better out in nature. So we made a decision. We talked about it. And I said, Darlene, why don't we just move out into nature, leave it all behind, and launch out into nature and find some peace, some permanence, some stability, something I don't have that I want. And Darlene wanted it too. We were both drawn to nature like a magnet. So we began to plan for the great escape. And what we did is we got a mini storage warehouse, got rid of a lot of things, put our motorcycles in storage, some important things that we needed. Then we got together some maps and a compass, and then food, of course. Darlene made 50 pounds of granola. Got some sleeping bags, got a tent, got a camp stove, got a fuel. We got all these things. We were ready to go, to leave behind the rat race and launch out into nature. And got into the old blue Montego. I had this big old Montego. Got in, drove up to one of the parking lots and the wilderness trails in the Cohutta Wilderness. Got out of the car, got the granola, put it in the backpack, got loaded up, and we launched out into the wilderness with the intention to never look back and never come back. We were going to be wilderness folks living off the land. And oh, my dear friends, it didn't turn out like we thought, but looking back, I see it was a step closer to sanity. And God was using this experience to help us. God always brings victory out of defeat, a blessing out of a curse. So though we had some unusual circumstances in that adventure in the woods, in that great escape, Lord was using it. He was helping us. Dear friends, I hope you have just a pleasant evening and a beautiful week. God bless you.